Another great beer is coming your way from Tesco's. This one is from the London Beer Factory. It is called a Jungle Trip, and another great, stunningly beautiful artwork on that. I really love that. I think that's one of the best from the new range of beers from Tesco. But what's this one going to be like? It's a New England Pale, which are usually one of my favourites. Check out the review to see how it rates. Welcome back to Rocker's Beer Review. Today we're going to be reviewing this beer from the London Beer Factory. This is the Jungle Trip, part of the new Tesco range. Just £2.40 this was, and you can buy 4 cans of this for £8. So that makes only £2 a can. Great artwork. One of the big things about London Beer Factory, they've been in supermarkets before. We've had a few of their beers. They usually have this massive ring pull that pulls the whole of the top off, but now they've seemed to revert it back to the standard ring pull. So I'm not sure why they've decided to do that. I mean, obviously, if that's a standard ring pull, standard can, it's probably a lot cheaper to produce. And the fact that they're getting this, selling this, you literally can buy this for £2. They've got to make some and I'm glad they've made the compromises in terms of the ring pour poster, hopefully the taste. But this is a beer which has got 4 different hops in it. We've got Nelson Sauvin, which is seems to be a hop that's used a lot more these days. It's a New Zealand hop, has that sort of white grape, slightly piney grapefruit sort of properties in there. But it's also mixed with 3 other hops. We've got Summit, Comet, and Columbus. So again, those three hops, I can't even think much about those in terms of their characteristics. But I always like when you've got 4 different hops. It means that there's going to be could be a really good blend and some real great flavours. 5.3%. It's about average for a pale, but I've whittled on enough. Let's get this beer out the can and into a glass and see what it's like. So this is a 3rd beer from the Tesco range. Northern Monk is still the one to beat, really. That's an incredible beer. The Omnipollo and Buxton, I didn't think it was really worth the £5. But when you think that this is half the price, we'll see how it compares. So, beer in a glass. It's got a slight orangey yellow sort of colour. I mean, it pours like a New England, but it's a little bit darker. Even from the light here is not the greatest, but it's a little bit darker in the flesh, as it were. We've got a one and a bit finger head, pretty tightly compacted, bright white. Looks pretty good, actually. I mean, you can see it looks a little bit thicker than a lot of more like an IPA than a pale ale, which can be a little bit thinner. But you've got a real thick haze on that. Let's get some aromas. Yeah, I mean it smells juicy, but it's not throwing. It's the flavour. The aromas are not pouncing out of the glass really. So up your nose, sort of. You've got a slight tropical sort of notes. I'm not really picking up that sort of characteristic of the white grape. It smells very fresh, and I think it's going to be nice and fruity. But and the proof will be in the tasting. So let's start tasting. Cheers, everyone. Well, that's really packed with real juicy flavours. For a pale ale, that has got an incredible sort of fruit, a real pulpy fruit sort of profile that you would normally find in more IPAs. It's even got almost like that sort of double IPA sort of body. It's a real thick and creamy sort of body. You're getting a lot of almost the stone fruits are coming out there a lot more. So you get a peach and apricot. Yeah, peaches and apricots. It does remind me of those sort of higher strength, even an IPA, or even getting to the double IPA in terms of it tastes like it's got so much in it because it's so thick and creamy, which is quite uncharacteristic for a pale ale. And it's one of those sort of beers, it doesn't taste strong, but it's, when you drink a lot of craft beers, you start getting an idea in terms of it. You could probably gauge the percentage of alcohol by the mouthfeel and how it feels. And this is really, really thick in the mouth and really creamy. And if you tasted this blind, you would have said, yeah, we're getting close to double IPA sort of levels of, you know, that real sort of real pulpy gloopiness of a fruit. And I mean, it looks, it's much, some New England pales are usually pretty light, you know, they're yellow, even lighter than a sort of custard New England coloured IPA. So this is, being orange, has got obviously a lot more difference to it. It's really nice though. I mean, it's amazing that a beer like that with that sort of mouthfeel, which is, you have to say that mouthfeel's the star of the show. It's really, really thick. It's almost like a nitro stout. It's almost like a Guinness. That sort of mouthfeel. It's really, really creamy. And as I say, the flavours are in there. You're getting a subtleness of grape and a bit of melon, but really the big flavour is a real peachy, I suppose peachy and mango, and a hint of apricot. Very low bitterness. You're getting a slight sort of piney dankness on the back end, which again is something that I associate more with the double IPAs. £2.40, it's a cracking beer. But as I said, you know, the real star of this is how thick and creamy it is. The mouthfeel is superb. So it's great that we're getting beers like this, and they're being brewed at 5.3%. I'm still amazed at the mouthfeel on that. I don't know whether it's got, let's have a look. It's got Verdant IPA yeast in it. The hops I've obviously mentioned. The malts, Golden Promise. It's got a few others that you can't quite read from there. It doesn't say if it's got, there's no lactose in it, and I expect there's quite a bit of oats in there. It's got some description here, all supported by sweet yellow malt bill fruity fermenting yeast. Yeah, I think it's got to be that yeast and the malt combination to get that sort of mouthfeel. It's cracking. Let's get some scores. Okay, the scores are in for the London Beer Factory Jungle Trip. This is a really good beer. The fact that you can pick this up for £2.40 for one can, or if you buy 4 of them, it's just works out £2 a can. So you get 4 in a box for £8. 5.3% for a New England Pale Ale. It's a strange one. You get a lot of IPAs that taste a bit light and a bit sort of thin, and you think, oh, it's more like a pale ale. But you don't always get the pale ales unless you're looking at those big hitters from Verdant, from Daya maybe, where you're getting a real sort of a much more creamier mouthfeel. And that's the star of this beer. It's all about its creaminess, its thickness of body for a pale ale is something that's quite unusual. First things first though, aroma. Well, I was a little bit disappointed. You know, those, you know, considering something which we'll go on to in terms of the flavour and the body, the aromas were a little bit subtle. Yes, you had a little bit of mango and a little bit of that white grape from the Nelson Sauvin, but the aromas were a little bit subdued, which is more in line with some pale ales really. They don't have a massive sort of aroma profile. So a little bit disappointed, 12 for aroma. Appearance though, well, I mean, you can see from the appearance, it's a lovely sort of, I mean, what colour is that? It's a sort of golden orange, thick as you like, very, very hazy. You've got nice lace in the glass. It's got, you can see just from looking at it that it's got a thick, creamy body, which it has. I think it looks great. I'm giving it 9 out of 10 for appearance. And then flavour-wise, well, for a New England Pale, and as I said, and I'll keep saying it, the star is really the mouthfeel. It almost coats the mouth, coats the tongue. Really, really creamy, really thick. More the sort of thickness that you would associate with double IPAs, I think. For a pale ale that's only hitting 5.3%, I think it's tremendous the body that they've created with this. Flavour-wise, you've got more stone fruits. You're not getting pineapple really. You're getting big mango and even bigger peach, apricot, those sort of real sort of strong fruits. There's a little bit of pininess on the back end, a little bit of piney bitterness on the back end that's coming through. I think as it warms up a little bit, you can get that bit more of that pininess, which again, is uncharacteristic for a pale ale, really. It doesn't drink light and really, really fresh. I mean, it does taste nice and fruity. It's got nice, smooth sort of flavours in there. So it's almost like they've done a double IPA, but they've just somehow taken a lot of that, reduced the alcohol down and a little bit of the flavour, but kept the body, really. I mean, I'm amazed at how good the body is on this, and I will keep going on about it. But anyway, the score for flavour, well, I think because of the mouthfeel and because it's so creamy, I've got to give it a little bit higher than I normally would for the sort of flavours that it's given. So I'm giving it 35 for flavour. Value for money, well, I think this is a superb beer. The fact that you can buy this for £2, I mean, I've bought cans of beer that are nearly £6 that don't have the body, don't have those sort of, those stone fruit flavours in there. And the fact this is £2, again, there was a time when you had supermarket beer, and this isn't that long ago. It's probably, back in the sort of late summer when we were looking at beers from supermarkets then, and you tasted them and you were thinking, it's nice, but it just tastes a little bit watered down. This is almost the opposite of that. It's so amped up in terms of its body. It doesn't taste watery to me. So value for money, I've got to give this one a 10 out of 10. You can buy this for £2. It's amazing. If someone's never drank craft beer and they just stumble upon this thing, oh, well, that's works out £2 a can, and it's nice, pretty can. I'll give that a try. They're going to be quite amazed at what you can think, and it's going to disappoint them afterwards in terms of if they think they're going to buy a can of beer that's twice as much, they're not going to get twice the quality of beer, really. So 10 out of 10 for value. And then my overall experience, well, I mean, this beer is up there with the Northern Monk. It's not quite as good as Northern Monk. The flavour's a little bit, I mean, even now, as it's slightly warming up, over in these few minutes, the flavour's actually coming out even more. It does taste nice, but there's that little bit of pine and bitterness that just sort of stops it from being really smashable like the Northern Monk one. I think the Northern Monk one had this real fresh, fruity taste. This one is not as fresh because it's more the stone fruit flavours. But I still think it's a cracking beer, and I think that, if you see this one on your shelves from Tesco, do yourself a favour and buy the 4-pack, because £8 for 4 of those is an absolute bargain. So my overall experience, I'm giving it 15 out of 20. So we top those scores up, and we get another Iron Maiden, heaviest of heavy metal beers, 81 out of 100. That's a great score for a supermarket beer. And we've had 3 supermarket beers so far. The Northern Monk one got 83. This one's 81. And yet the one that was the most expensive, that was a £5 can of beer, only got 70. I'm excited. We've got Brewdog to come. We've got Salt to come. What else have we got? We've got Vocation to come. Can these keep up to that high level? I don't know if they can. Maybe I've just got lucky and I've picked 2 out of the first 3 of being the top beers. But this is a really good beer. Give it a try. London Beer Factory. I'm glad you've done your big can pull, because it's made a big difference to the beer. Hope you enjoyed the review. If you like it, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see these beer reviews as they come out for the new beers in Tesco, and there'll be new beers in Morrison's coming very soon too, then please subscribe to the channel. And until the next one, keep on rocking.